dina din to dina tuna katta dak to dina din tin dak to dina katta to dina.
All right. Hope you all had a good break and enjoyed the networking session. Welcome back to Odisha Design Week for our next speaker, Jitu Mishra. Jitu
Yeah.
Mishra is an archaeologist from Pune's Deccan College. He is an immersive traveler and a visual narrator on art, culture, history, and tourism. He is an author of a couple of books, blogs, and articles, including the Amazon best-selling title Bhuvaneshwar, Lord Shiva's Eastern Abode. Jitu has contributed immensely to promoting Odisha stories. I now welcome Jitu Mishra, who will speak about a journey through its wooden and stone carvings heritage. Welcome, Jitu.
Thank you so much, Rasmi. I'll be talking about the stone art, stone carvings from an archaeological and historical perspective because all of you know Odisha is quite well known for its magnificent, majestic temples from the medieval period. It was also a major Buddhist civilizations in the medieval period, right from the time of Emperor Ashoka, I would say. So let me take you through a journey, how a visual journey, how the art in Odisha, the stone art in Odisha was started and how it evolved from time to time. Finally, how it got culminated in the majestic Sun Temple at Konark, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So let me start the journey. So I will start with the presentation, PDF presentation. First, I need to share the screen.
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
please share the screen and that'll bring your presentation up.
Okay.
As Jitu is getting ready to share his screen, whoever is attending, please feel free to write on the chat any questions, anything that
It is disabled, I think. I am not able to share the screen.
you have these three buttons right next to your video and audio. There is this share screen option.
Yeah, I did that. Then choose what to share, entire screen, window, or Chrome tab.
Yeah.
So,
So
so entire screen I want to share. So,
yeah, you can share
but
the
there
entire
is
screen
the
and
share
then pick.
button in the button is disabled.
No, once you pick entire screen, it will show the entire screen on
Or
your.
do you want me to first open the file and then share?
That is also fine. Open it on your desktop, then go to the share option and pick that particular window to
Okay,
share. That should
fine.
work.
Why is it taking so much time?
Hello, sir. Muskan here. So, sir, are you able to share like the window? Yeah, we can
Yeah,
see.
No,
looks
there
like it
is.
worked. Yeah.
Yeah, we can see your.
Yeah, I think it has started. Yes, it has started. Yes.
Yes.
So all of you can see right now.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes, yes, Jitu. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Fine. The topic is stone art in Odisha, and as I said, Odisha is quite well known for its majestic Hindu temples, which belong to the Kalinga school of temple architecture, which is a little variation from the northern Indian temples, which you find mostly in Khajuraho in central India and also in Rajasthan and Gujarat. The Kalinga school temple are little different from the rest of the North Indian temples. So let me start how the stone art began its journey in Odisha in the slide. So this is what is the outline. I am skipping Konark because it has become a long time. It would take a lot of time. So I'm starting with the beginning of the Stone Age, then the Mauryan era, at the time of Kharavela, who was the first emperor of Odisha in first second century BC, and then Odisha's Buddhist art, and then Hindu temples in Bhubaneswar. So, can I make it full screen? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the attendees will also have an option to make it full screen. It's visible. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's perfectly visible. Yeah.
Right. So, Odisha is like when we talk about the human journey in Odisha, it goes back to at least 1.5 million years ago. So there's a plateau called Mayurbhanj Plateau where the national park, Simlipal National Park, which is one of the major tiger corridors in India, is located. It's a dense tropical forest filled with mountains and hills, and also the tropical dense forest. So there you have the some of the earliest Stone Age going back to the Lower Paleolithic, which much before the birth of Homo sapiens sapiens, the present human species. So there you have the some of the Lower Paleolithic uh, periods sites, and where we find stone tools. And then there are other areas in Odisha, such as the Dhenkanal uplands. And as I said, Odisha is mostly mountainous, not of course like the Himalayas, but here, except the delta region in the coastal part, most of Odisha is hilly and mountainous and filled with dense forest. So you have in this part of, in different parts of Odisha, in the highlands and uplands, you have the Middle Paleolithic period, Lower Paleolithic culture, where the about 1.5 million to 2 million years ago, people lived, and they were mostly hunter gatherers. And then there is a site called Sankirjang, which is in the Dhenkanal upland, about 150 kilometers from Bhubaneswar, where in the late 80s, there was an archaeologist called Paul Yule. He was a German archaeologist. While excavating, he discovered bar cells, which were huge parallel-sided cells, and these cells are quite unique in the entire subcontinent, because not from any other sites in Indian subcontinent, these have been reported. So these were, interpreted as the earliest musical instruments in Odisha in the archaeological context, and they were mostly performed during the death rituals. So these parallel-sided bar cells, they have huge one, about 1.5 feet in length, and interestingly, in Vietnam, in the Mont Khmer region of Vietnam, you have similar kind of cells which are still in practice, and based on the living traditions. So these are interpreted as the earliest musical instruments in Odisha, which were performed, during the death rituals. So this is also a form of art which go back to at least 800 BC, much before the birth of Buddha and also Emperor Ashoka. So this is how the Stone Age art in Odisha. In Then it comes to, like, when we talk about Indian history, the first attention goes to the Paleolithic, to the time of Emperor Ashoka. Emperor Ashoka was Emperor Ashoka was known for, he was a king, he was an emperor, uh, known for wrong reasons, because he was a cruel king before he annexed Kalinga. And the the Kalinga battle in third century BC turned, changed his mind. He became compassionate, and that was a turning point in the history of not only in Odisha but also in India as well as in the world, because some of the 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 prasasti what he wrote, uh, the edicts. Which you find in the battle site of Kalinga, that is very close to Bhubaneswar, on the outskirts of Bhubaneswar city, at a place called Dhori, and where he talks about his conversions. But what interesting aspect about when we talk about art, here you find one of the oldest art of Indian subcontinent, from the historical time, of course, is a forepart of a rock cut elephant, which is a moving image of a rock cut elephant. And why it is shown, uh, only the forepart of the elephant is shown, because if you know, his mother Maya Devi, Buddha's mother, Maya Devi, when she was pregnant, you know she saw a dream, a white elephant entering to her womb. And when she disclosed her dream to the king in the next day morning, and the king was also worried, and he invited all the intellectuals, teachers, to the royal court, asking to interpret the dream. And all of them said that the son who would the Maya Devi would give birth would either become a king of immense fame, a Jasasvi king, or he would be a world announcer. And but anyway, he became a world announcer, and that is how Buddha was known. We all know about Lord Buddha. So this is how pictorially, Ashoka tried to, when he commissioned this work of art. So this is pictorial. There is no in other place in India you find this aspect. So this is the pictorial interpretation and depiction of the dream Maya Devi would have seen. Maya Devi had seen. So this is how Buddha is represented through an elephant here at Dholi, which was the famous site of Kalinga. Then, at the time of Mauryan rule, so there was a site called Tosali, which is identified with the present day Sispalgarh, again in the fringe of the city of Bhubaneswar, on the outskirts of the city of Bhubaneswar. Of course, it is now encroached upon by urbanizations. So here you have the first smart city, first smart city of this part of India at least, which was square in plan, about 1.5 square kilometer in area, and surrounded by moat and gates. So this was the capital of Kalinga at the time of Emperor Ashoka, and then also subsequently. So these are the pillars which you find even today at Sispalgarh. These are also remains of art, which was part of a palace complex. And nowhere else you find in this period in India such monolithic pillars which were part of a royal building, a palatal building. So this is they had sockets and all, and fortunately these have survived, so that we know about the architectural aspects, the royal architectural aspects of ancient India, based on these archaeological findings. And then Ashoka, after he became Dhammashoka, after he was converted into Buddhism, he erected pillars in different parts of India associated with the life of Buddha, like Bodh Gaya or Sarnath or Rajgir. Erected pillars, and these pillars, again, have been adopted by the Constitution of India, the four lions on four sides. So it's the lion capitals. So they were actually Dhammastambhas, or the pillars of Dhamma, so good deed. So these pillars were erected by Ashoka using Chunar sandstone. Chunar is a place in near Varanasi in Uttar Pradesh, where you have the finest varieties of sandstone. So this stone was used, which is very polished, and it actually reflects when you look at like a mirror. So, but in case of Odisha or in Bhubaneswar, he also erected pillar, but using the local sandstone. But unfortunately, this pillar was converted to Shivalinga. Where in this temple, this is the Bhaskareshwar temple, and you will see this temple looks very unusual if you compare it with other Odishan temples, the Kalingan temples. And because this was erected as a two-story temple, mainly to enshrine the converted Shivalinga from the Ashokan pillar, from the pillar. And so this is how this temple is interesting. So he erected, and there also you have a this pillar also had a bell capital, so which you find in most of the sites associated with Buddhism. And today this bell capital is displayed in Odisha State Museum. So this is how Ashoka was deeply involved in the establishment and evolution of Buddhism in Odisha, especially in the region of Bhubaneswar. This is also a lion capital, which you have the four lions as in Indian emblem. So here also he erected lion capitals, but only one lion is found, and this was made out of sandstone, which is eroded to a large extent. Then you have also uh, there was folk beliefs in that time, in Ashokan time. Along with Buddhism, people also had different kind of religious practices. They were believers of various folk cults, especially the cult of snake. um, Even today also, you go to South India and Deccan, you find quite popular, many of the temples, and also in the countryside you find the people worshipping snake god. So snake god was very popular. So here you have an image of snake god, which is again displayed in Odisha State Museum, and this is part of a Buddhist railing cascade. So Buddhism was quite established in Odisha during the time of Emperor Ashoka. Now we come to the time of Kharvel. Kharvel was a Jain monarch who ruled Odisha, and he had his kingdom had extended up to Mathura in the north and up to Nagpur region in Maharashtra. So very large empire he had created uh, for a very short span of time. And he was a Jain, and he was the first emperor of Odisha. And close to the capital, like the Sispalgad, which I mentioned, uh, uh, Kharvel and his two wives had you know, excavated a number of rock cut caves in Khandagiri Udaygiri caves, which are now located in Bhubaneswar city. And Khandagiri Udaygiri, like Sanchi or Bharut in central India, or Amravati in South India, or even Ajanta in Maharashtra, was a major center of art in the early historic period. Unfortunately, because of its these art motifs, the panels were carved out in the sandstone, which and also because of the close proximity to the sea and the saline weather, these have eroded heavily, which and that's why not much justice has been given. But they are stunning. If you today also, if you see them in the, they are stunning, where you find varieties of themes, narratives, such as the royal scenes, jungle scenes, hunting, picnicking, cultural performance, and also the spiritual act. So there is also foreign influence, because at the time of the rule of the Karbala, there was Indo-Greek culture. There was a lot of Greek influence. Some of the Greeks were also employed by him as soldiers. So you have also influence of Greek art. So this is the first. And this is actually the Rani Gumpa, one of the uh, prominent caves, which is two-storied, and this was used as an amphitheater, and where you have number of cells in two-storied, and people would sit, to observe the performance of classical dance or the folk dance and drama and all sort of things. And so you can see such panels. Of course, as I said, because of the use of sandstone, these are heavily eroded. But still, you can make out, like, there is one person, an old man sitting, and there is a woman, and then there is a deer, So this actually the panel. This is a panel which actually talks about Carvera's love story, because how he fell in love with his second wife. So the whole story is narrated in this cave. This is in Rani Gumpa. So this is how a group of women, and they have come for a picnic, and unknowingly they have actually ventured into a place which is actually the habitat of elephants. So they came in close association, close interaction with the elephants, and you see that how some of them were scared. They are throwing away their ornaments to save them, but one woman you would find is found little brave. She is the princess who in turn becomes Carvel's wife. So this is how there are several stories which you find depicted in the Hathigumpa, in Khandagiri and Udagiri, especially in Udagiri caves. So this is, as I said, this was the amphitheater, one of what is India's earliest amphitheaters, where people would, the spectators would sit on three sides, and then the performance would be held here. And so this is one, and then you can see. So this is this is a place, the cells, and then you have the panels. And most of the caves you have, both in the low story as well as in upper story, you have the panels. Here, the king is sitting with his two wives, and then a woman along with her other partners. She's performing a dance. So we'll see in the close. So this is the his king Carvela with his two wives. He's watching the performance. So here one she's a performer along with other partners. She's other musicians, and according to some archaeologists, this could be the earliest depiction of any Indian classical dance, especially Odissi, because nowhere in India you have such earliest evidence of cultural performance dance. What you find in Udagiri going back to more than 2000 years. And as I said, there is also Greek influence. So this man is a local army on the right side, and on the left you have an army man who is in the Greek attire. So there were, the Greek soldiers were also employed by the Indian kings, in, including Emperor Caravella. Uh, so this is how you see the Greek influence here also. So when we summarize how Khandagiri Udayagiri art, the trend in Khandagiri Udayagiri going back to 2000 years, you have a lot of naturalism, because if you go to the medieval temples, you will not find such elaborate depiction of daily life events such as picnic or royal hunting or the wildlife habitats, including humans intruding into the wildlife habitats, cultural performance. So you will not find much when you go to the temples of the later stage. Whereas if you at Khandagiri Udayagiri, not only at Khandagiri Udayagiri, but also in Sanchi and Bharut and Amravati and other places, other archaeological sites of this period, you find such naturalism, because there's a lot of emphasis on the overall aspects of life. Storytelling is, like as I said, most of these panels, they have storytelling settings. They have stories, and mostly they are folk and non-religious in characters, because though it is a Jain monument, the Khandagiri Udayagiri are Jain caves, but you would hardly find any ritual scenes in Khandagiri and Udayagiri. So this is how is the it is there are more of non-religious art depictions, what you don't find in the later temples. And then you have a lot of emphasis on the natural history, as I said. Then, as I said, Odisha was a major center of Buddhism um, from the time of Emperor Ashoka. So here at Langudi, there's a site called Langudi in Jaspur district, where you have some of the oldest Buddhist remains. There are panels of rock cut stupas with Vidyadharas, but which we'll be seeing now, like what we saw at Khandagiri Udayagiri caves, the depiction of dance scenes. Here also you see the same kind of dance scenes. So this is the panel, but unlike Ajanta or other sites in Maharashtra in Deccan, you will not find huge rock caves or stupas, but they are found mostly in the panels. So this is how the stupas are there. They all belong to the Hinayana phase of Buddhism, where Buddha was not represented as a human So this is how you have at Lagudi. So this is another view of the Langudi site. This is another view. So here, you have two Vidyadharas, they were semi-divine creatures, and a lotus. They are offering lotus to Buddha. Buddha is not represented as a human, but as a stupa. So this is how at Langudi you find the rock cut panels. So, like what you had seen at Udayagiri, Khandagiri caves, the dance performance. Here also you have a dance performance, but this is not visually, enriching, because it is this was carved out of condylite rock, which has got more porosity, and this is how it has got eroded. So that's why you have slightly the preservation is not much what you have at Khandagiri Udayagiri. So this is how there were. So these are various even rock cuts. You have also towards the later phase of these panels, you also the Buddha image carved out within the stupa, and then the lotus medallions offered to the stupas. So these are various very very fascinating, because you will not find these kind of aspects in other places. So but if you compare it with Khandagiri Udayagiri, the depiction of art, and the Langudi doesn't have much of the scenes of daily life. It's mostly religious in nature, and revolving around the stupa worship, and and some sort of things like the dance and all. But Khandagiri Udayagiri were much more profound, and they had much more because it had received the royal patronage, and that's why it had much more diversity. Now, Odisha, as I said, it was one of the major centers of Mahayana and Vajrayana Buddhism from the Gupta period onwards, from 5th, 6th century onwards until 12th, 13th century. It continued to be as a major Buddhist civilizations. So there are sites, in the delta region of Brahmani and Chitrapala, about 90 to 100 kilometers from Bhubaneswar, and about 60, 70 kilometers from Cuttack in the north directions. You have a cluster of Buddhist sites, and the most important being the Ratnagiri, Ladakiri, Udayagiri, and so like the Golden Triangle, what we have, the Bhubaneswar, Puri, and Konark. This Ratnagiri, Ladakiri, Udayagiri are the Diamond Triangle. It's referred to as the Diamond Triangle. So they here you have a wide depictions of Buddhist art. So there are splendid gateways. Then there are deities of Vajrayana pantheons, Mahayana pantheons, a large number of votive stupas which we'll be seeing now. Then there are geometrical motifs, and then children on swings, and semi-divine figures, chowri bearers, like this who are the attendant deities, then the demonic figures, and many more. So many Buddhist art motifs are also influenced. These Many of these art motifs also influence the Hindu temples of medieval Odisha. So there used to be cultural exchange between Buddhist and the Hindu temples, Buddhist and Hindu civilizations, and lot of ideas were exchanged, and that's why you find the influence of Hindu temples over Buddhism, as well as Buddhist influence over Hinduism. So you can see here at Ratnagiri site, there are a large number of Buddha sculptures have been reported, and they are, we will be discussing about that, but you can see their characteristic features. And this is what is the beauty of Indian art. Like, they are, they look very compassionate, all the serene, compassionate, and also meditative. And if we compare it with the Greek sculptures, the contemporary Greek sculptures, they look more aggressive and masculine, warrior types. But here you have more compassionate sculptures of Buddha. As I said that Ratnagiri and Udayagiri, all these sites, lot of votive stupas. These are not small; they are small stupas. They are votive stupas, which were offered by the pilgrimage, in the memory of the dead monks and or theras. There are about 8,000 of such votive stupas have been reported from the Ratnagiri itself. Not sorry, not 800, 8,000, 800 have been reported. So So this is yet another view, and most of these votive stupas also have niches where you have the Vajrayana and the Mahayana deities are enshrined. So this is yet another. You can see them here. So these are also various kind of motifs, the geometrical motifs, like you, as I said, these are geometrical motifs which you find mostly in the gateways in these Buddhist monasteries. And here, like the boys, are also depicted, which is again unusual. You will not find in any other Buddhist sites in India. So this again a geometrical motif. So you find boys in swing. So this is again very unusual. A similar this also has influence in Hindu temples. In some of the Hindu temples, you also find the same kind of sculptures. So these are the Chauri bearers, which you find also in Hindu temples. So they are again found in the Buddhist monasteries. And interestingly, this earlobe which you find here is today there is a tribal community called Lanjasora, which live in the southern part of Odisha in the high eastern Ghats. They also have the same kind of earlobes. So we don't know exactly who were these people at that time, but some of these trained, which was there in the medieval period, have continued to the present time. So this is how a monastery, in Ratnagiri and Udayagiri, this is a monastery in Udayagiri. So these are cells where the monks would live, and this is the assembly hall, the place for assembling by the monks and to do prayers. And again, there is large number of huge size Buddha heads you find at the site of Ratnagiri, and they are very very iconic. So this is the entrance to the monastery one, which is the largest monastery in India from the medieval period. So this is the beautiful gateway, which is built out of chlorite seeds stone, greenish in color. And this is yet another iconic feature of Odishan monuments. And similar gateways were actually there in most of the Buddhist sites, but unfortunately, either they are vandalized or taken to some of the museums in the world, in Europe and or in other parts of India. But most of these Buddhist sites I am discussing here had similar kind of gateways. So this is yet another iconic feature of incredible India. So this is how these are the highlights, like half closed eyes, meditative poses, the Buddha images, compassionate, slender, short and tight ringlet curl hairs, which you find in Buddha sculptures. And this is a continuation of the Gupta art traditions. And then votive stupas were offered in memory of dead theras, monks by pilgrims. They are mostly made of stone, and most of them have niches enshrining miniature images of Vajrayana deities. Ratnagiri has a staggering number of motifs to pass. Then gateways. So these are the three aspects which make the Buddhist art of Odisha quite distinctive when we compare with the rest of India. Then you come, from 6th and 7th century onwards, you have the evolution of Hindu temples in Odisha. So mostly the earlier temples were either they belong to Shaivism or Shakti worship. But I'm not talking here about the architectural sites. I'm just talking about the art aspects. So in 6th, 7th century, Bhubaneswar became an established center of because it was earlier a major Buddhist civilization and a center of urbanizations, as we discussed, and also Jainism. But from 6th century onwards, it became a major center of Hinduism, especially Shaivism, Pasupat Shaiva cult. Uh, so there was a king called Shashank who was from the neighboring Bengal, the Goda king. He built one of the first temples in Bhubaneswar at the Ekama Kshetra, which is Bhubaneswar is known as the Ekama Kshetra. And so Hindu temples in Bhubaneswar, which flourished which were built mostly between 6th, 7th century to 12th, 13th centuries. So they are divided into three phases: the formative phase, and then the transition phase, and then the mature phase. So in 6th, 7th century, the first Hindu temples were Kalinga school of practice. So they were mostly compact, and they had only one Vimana. And this Jagamana, what you see here, this one was added later actually. And the Vimana in Odia is called Jagamohana. And then our formative pages with limited, if you look at the, which will be seen now, the art motifs of this, the stone art motifs of this period, limited facial and body expressions, and they are carved in lower lips, and they are also compact. Whereas when you go to the transition period and also the mature periods, you will find them more evolved. So this is like you had seen the Chauri bearer at Ratnagiri, sorry, in Udayagiri, Buddhist. So similar kind of Chauri bearer also you find in the early temples. So here again, one of the dancing poses. Some dance critics they say that this could be one of the again one of the earlier representation of Odissi dance. Then you have Salabanjikas, and then also women. So this is again a woman with a child, and then she's a Salabanjika holding a branch of a tree. So here you have two depictions of goddess Durga. At one of the earliest. This is from the 7th, 6th, 7th century, one of the earliest temples. So from the very beginning, Durga worship was there in Odisha, especially in Bhubaneswar, along with Shaivism, because both Shaktism and Shaivism were quite prominent. So, amorous couples and love scenes, which you find right from the beginning, because even uh, the act of erotism was part of the Shaiva rituals, at that period, especially in the Pasupat cult. So they are very much there from the very beginning. Here you will find, a woman on the left and a man on the right, and both of them are waiting for their lovers to arrive. So in the entrance of the house, and this became, a regular trend even after the formative phase, which we'll be seeing, of course. So this is yet another one. The same, on one side the woman, on the left side is the man, and the right side is the woman. So these are Salabanjikas. When we go to the next levels, we'll see them how they have evolved. This is at the beginning. Salabanjika is basically is a concept which go back to the time of Buddhism. This is again influenced from Buddhism, because this is associated with fertility cult. At Sanchi in Madhya Pradesh, you have one of the earliest depiction of Salavanjika, either a Ashoka tree, a branch of Ashoka tree, because holding by the woman, and so this became a regular trend even in Hinduism. So it's associated with the fertility god. So these are amorous couples you find right from the beginning at Parasurameswar temple. So this is again amorous couples, and on right side you have Shiva and Parvati. This is one of the earliest depiction of Nataraj, which you find much more evolved when you move to the next level. So you have, Odisha again was, all of you know about Sun Temple at Konark is a major, is one of the most prominent sun temples in the whole of the world. But that was the culmination. So from the very beginning in Odisha history, there used to be sun worship. So these are the, sun is either found as standing or in sitting position in the first period, and later on you will find his uh, the horse, and also his other his extended members, the family members, you will find in the later sculptures, but in the earlier phase you will find them as a standalone sculptures, uh, either in sitting uh, or standing positions. So this is at Parasurameswar temple, where you have some of the earliest images of sun worship. And then Odisha is also is a no is a land where uh, elephants are even today also. Like you go to any part of Odisha, you will keep hearing about human and elephant conflicts, because elephants. Odisha is known for its elephants in its forest, not tigers. So it is said that even Ashoka planned to conquer Kalinga at that time, mainly because of its elephants. Even the Sultan of Malwa also had come all the way to Odisha for its elephants. So the kings of Odisha were known as the uh, Kalinga Gajapati kings. Gaja is elephant again. So elephant has been a very, all throughout Odisha history. Elephant has elephant has played a very important role, a critical role, not only in the war but also in various other aspects, in the transportations and all in various aspects. So elephants were domesticated. So this is a scene again at Parasurameswar temple, how the elephants are being domesticated, which you will find in most of the temples. So these are again a war scene, like there is a wild boar and then there's possibly a lion. So again, so this is again at Parasurameswar temple. Then you have, from the very beginning, as I said, like what the cultural aspects, the dance and the music throughout Odisha history, they played dance and musics were prevalent, and you find in most of the temples depiction of dance and cultural performance, dance and music. So here at Parasurameswar temple, you find all of them are actually males, which you will see in the other slide. uh, Again males. So if you go to the, I will show you in another slide, in the later temples where you find all women or one woman with lot of men. So so this is how throughout history of Odisha you have the dance and music, they are given a lot of importance. Even today also Odisha has been known for its cultural uh, dance, like the Gotipo or the Odissi. Now Hindu temples of the transition period. So Mukteshwar is referred to as the gem among all Kalingan temples, mainly because of its splendid art and the compact size. It was built in the 9th 10th century CE as the in the transition phase, And here, if you compare it with the formative phase, the art motifs become much more profound and sophisticated compared to what you have seen at the formative phase. So let's see how. So this is the full view of the Mukteshwar temple. You have the Bimana here and also the Pidhadeola, which was added at the same time. So this is the transition phase. And in the later phase, in the mature phase, you have two more structures added, which we'll be discussing. That is the Nata Mandapa and the Bhoga Mandapa, all forming in the same line. So you can see the level of sophistication when you compare it with the previous, temples of the formative phase. Here, the Nagakanyas, they look much more sophisticated, much more. There is a lot of plasticity, and then they are so elegant. So compared to what you have seen this, so this is how the art has evolved from the formative phase to the transition phase. So women have throughout Odisha history, women depiction of women have been very prominent. They had played in various roles. So here, for example, a woman warrior. Then again, here is a Salabhanjika. So they have always been depicted. Uh, and there was a lot of importance given to both the genders actually. So they played a role in everyday life in all aspects. So this is what you had seen like in the previous phase, women standing in the gate of the in the entrance of the house. Here you find like again she is waiting for a lover on the right side and on the left side as well. And here she is actually in the toilet scene. So a parrot you will find here in the gate because parrot and then peacock and the monkeys, these three are associated with Kamadeva, the god of love. So they are always depicted with these kind of scenes. So this is one of the most beautiful women again at Mukteshwar temple. But if you compare it with again from the previous slides from the previous era, so here you find much more evolved, and there's a lot of plasticity, there's a lot of sophistication. So, like what you had the Nagakanya, these are all male companions. They're male companions, and Naga and Naguni. So they are the protectors of. They are considered as the protectors of Earth's treasures because it's believed that Earth's treasures are filled with treasures of various precious, semi-precious stones and gold. So they are considered as the protectors of Earth's treasures. So that's why even a temple, a Hindu temple in Odisha, were also considered as the centers of wealth because inside the temples you had so many wealth, so much of wealth. So there you find all around the temples and also at the entrance of the temples you find both Naga and Naguni, and it is believed that they were depicted because it was believed that they were supposed to protect the temples from outsiders, from the invaders, or from the thieves or the robbers. So that is how they are depicted, and they are again depicted with a lot of ornaments, and there's a huge, so and they were quite considered also wealthier. So this is Nataraj, what you had seen in Parsurameswar temple. Here you find much more evolved Nataraj. But here in Odisha, the Nataraj depiction, the cosmic aspect of Lord Shiva. So here it is much more compassionate, and if you consider their South Indian counterparts, where they look more Rudra, more aggressive. Here they appear more compassionate. And Nataraj is not very common if you compare it with the South Indian temples. And these are called Vajramastakas or the Kitimukhas, and they are also found in the four walls of the temples at the high level. And it's believed that if you depict them, then the temple will be protected from evil eyes and also from the lightning. So even today, you go to the some of the buildings in South India. Uh, so you will find a demon mask hanging at the in the outer wall, and near the door or in the outer wall. So this is this is how it has continued. So Mukteshwar is known for its one of the most iconic aspects, like the Torana, a Makar Torana, and which is a standalone Torana, and it is one of the most beautiful, sculptures, structures in the whole of India, and there are depiction of women, and love scenes, and then also Kitimukas in this uh, Torana. Then the mature phase, which we will be ending now. Mature phase, like you have the Vimanas evolved, and then two more structures added. You have the Lingaraj temple, the Radharani temple, then the Konark Sun temples. All these temples are the aspects, where you have much more the Maithuna sculptures, the erotic sculptures, then the royal court scenes, then the women quarters, then the composite animals like the Vyalas, then scenes of education and complex entertainment. So all these are found in the depiction of in the form of art in the later temples or the mature period. Like this is the Lingaraj temple, which is at 11th century Jain. One of the 55 meters. It soars up to 55 meters. There were three major temples constructed in India at that time. The one at Khajuraho called Kandariya Mahadeva, and then the Brihadeshwar Swami temple at Tanjavur. So all these temples were built at the same times, and they represent the highest achievements in different schools. So Lingaraj in Kalingan School of Temple Architecture. So these are again, like if you compare it with the previous ones, these are again much more evolved. The Salabanjikas, they are much more evolved. They are more sophisticated, very slender, and so this is how the art is evolving as the time is moving. So this is one of my favorite sculptures, Salabanjika at Radharani temples. Beautiful. There is no parallel to it. So this is Varuna. Again, you see the amount of plasticity and the sophistication, so slender. This is one of the Ashtatikpalas, among the one of the eight guardian deities, Varuna, who is associated with sea. So that's why you have Makara and the scene of the sea here. So this is one of the most splendid art remains in the whole of Indian subcontinent. So these are the Maithuna sculptures, and also there's a lot of urban aspects in the temples of Radharani, and then you of course have at Lingaraj and then again Konark. So you will see that how there was balance between both the genders. Both were given the equal status and the importance in the society, medieval society of Odisha, which you find in the depiction of the art. So the woman here again, you see, in a different pose, but much evolved what you had seen at Parasurameswar temple. And this is Salabanjiga again. Here you find a parrot, and then this is an amorous couple. So this is a scene of Gurukul, the education, the teacher and also the students. So such kind of you know aspects you will find in the temples, the later temples of Odisha, in Bhubaneswar as well as in Konark. So there used to be uh, like in the next slide you will see again here a woman is the dancer, and she is accompanied by all the males. So it is up to you how do you interpret, but this is how was the society where there was so much of liberty and freedom. And with this, I'm ending, and the time is also there. It is 5:25, almost close to 2 hours.
Yeah, that was awesome, Jitu. I mean, the journey you took us through the stone art, I'm sure each one of us enjoyed it so much. And like you mentioned, the improvement, right, as the centuries passed, it's like it became more intricate. The relief was more compared to the olden times. It was really beautiful. Everyone who's attending, if you have any questions, please type it in the chat box. But otherwise, I have a small question, Jitu, for you. Um, I'm sure you mentioned the different areas like Kandagiri, Udaigiri, Ratnagiri. Are they all in particular concentrations geographically? That is one thing. And the other thing is, how is Odisha state promoting these sites, like with tourism, and how aware are people, to these beautiful sites?
Yeah, I have I'm founder of an organization, co-founder of an organization called Sarna Education and Cultural Services, and Paresh knows about it. And we do immersive cultural tourism in Odisha. So, and already we have done two books also. One is on the
Okay.
Buddhist heritage of Odisha, mainly for the lay people,
Mhm.
common man, and one on temples of Bhubaneswar, and several books are also coming. And then we try to promote through also, through storytelling in the video formats. We have a channel also called Stories of Odisha channel, where
Okay.
we try to bring out these stories of, we don't talk about the architectural aspects much because there are a lot of interesting stories associated with the temples and themes. So that what attract me more. And as Odisha tourism, as per the goes, like till now they had been concentrating on the Hindu temples in Puri, Konark, Bhubaneswar. Now they are shifting more towards ecotourism and other aspects.
Okay. Okay, that's interesting. I mean, even I'm from southern part of India, and we also have wonderful, soapstone carved temples called Belur, Halibid. They are very well
Yeah,
known.
yes, yes.
Beautiful, beautiful carvings, very similar to the Shilapalikas you mentioned, and yeah, very intricate work. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Jitu, for taking us through this journey. Yeah, we have some great comments. The presentation was excellent. And yeah, if any of you have any questions, please
जितु
feel free.
जितु बहुत बढ़िया ଭଲ ବହୁତ ବଢିଆ
Oh,
ଭଲ ହେଇଥିଲା ଭଲ presentation ବହୁତ ବଢିଆ
very nice.
thank you very much for your time for your presenting such a great storytelling about Odishan stone
Yeah,
carving.
in 1 hour, I think it would be difficult to give justice for the entire things, no?
Yeah.
Because,
Exactly.
because and
So
I could not touch actually on Konark because
yeah.
Konark and Jagannath Temple Puri because
It's
it
another
would
one
take
hour.
another half
Yeah,
an hour at least.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
right now, actually, our next guest is already on stage. So Jitu, thank you very much.
Thank
And
you so much.
yeah, so we'll
thank
be
you so
talking
much.
to you. Thank you so much. Thank you for time.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
thank you so
So,
much.
Bye. Yeah.
thank you,
Yeah,
thank you.
bye.
Bye, bye,
Thank
bye,
you.
bye, bye, bye.